Hello everyone, welcome back to TechnoChart's YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm going to talk about one of the best swing trading strategies for trading in the Indian markets. Now we are going to use the 200 EMA and relative strength to identify the areas of reversal and try to capture major trends in a stock. So let me just explain you what is the 200 EMA. Now 200 EMA is basically the long-term trend of the stock. So whenever the stock price crosses its 200-day moving average, it is a technical signal that there is a reversal has occurred. So a stock above 200 EMA is generally considered as a bullish in its long-term trend, and if it is below 200 EMA, it is considered as bearish. A simple rule basically of not buying any kind of stocks below 200 EMA for short-term trading could save a lot of money for most of the people. And basically you can save a lot of money if you have a simple rule that you will only go long if the stock is above the 200 EMA, and you will only go short if the stock is below 200 EMA, right? So some of the people may not agree with this kind of trading, and it is absolutely okay. So this is just a trading strategy that I generally like to prefer trading and to understand the trend. So basically whenever the stock is trading up and whenever the 200 EMA is trading up, it is known as an uptrend. Whenever the 200 EMA is sideways, it is known as a consolidation period. And whenever the 200 EMA is trading down, so let's understand on the chart that how do we apply the 200-day moving average. Now, if we go on the indicator section of the TradingView platform, let's just type here moving average. Now, if you type here moving average, you'll see moving average, exponential moving average ribbon. We'll use the moving average ribbon indicator. Now, if you click on the moving average ribbon indicator, you'll see that a lot of moving averages gets plotted on the chart. We only require the 200-day moving average. So I would just deselect all the other moving averages, change from SMA to EMA, and probably change the styling from let's say I would just bold that moving average here. Now as you see here, once I have added the 200-day moving average on my chart, you can clearly see that the red line that is there is kind of providing me dynamic support to the stock here. Every time the stock touches the 200-day moving average, it is just going below the 200-day moving average some of the times, but then again pulling back above the 200 EMA every time it is just going below that, right? So this is the basic use of 200-day moving average, that basically institutional players also use the 200 EMA to find the value areas, because they want to buy a stock over a period of time, and they do not always go and buy any single stock at a single go, right? So they will diversify their uh, buying in various time periods as well. So they will buy some of the stocks at a higher price, some of the stocks at a lower price, if they basically want to hold that stock for a longer duration of time. So this is one of the best methods to find a stock that is basically these are the stocks that are value buy to institutional players as well. Now after that, we are going to use the relative strength to apply on the charts. Now what is relative strength? So relative strength is basically an indicator or a study where a stock that is giving us more returns than Nifty, the indicator would turn into a green color. And if the stock is giving me a lesser returns than Nifty, then basically the indicator will turn into a red color. So I'm just trying to simplify it in a very simple manner here. So how do we apply the relative strength here? So if you type your relative strength in the indicator section here, so you will see a lot of indicators by different people. So we are going to use relative strength of a stock by Bharat Trader here. So if you select on that, basically now you will see that the relative strength line gets plotted here, and we only require, you only select the first three, and we do not require any of the other sections here like the RS trend, period or period. Now the period that we are going to use is 123. Now 123 basically is a longer term relative strength of a stock, and that means that we are looking for around 6 months of performance of a stock. So here if you see here that the relative strength line is basically there is a zero line and there is a green color here. So whenever the stock is outperforming the markets, that means that the relative strength line will turn into green. Whenever the stock is underperforming the market, so let's take an example of Amar Raja battery. So here if we take the example of Amar Raja battery, we can clearly see that stock is taking a resistance below the 200-day moving average, and the relative strength line is also red here till this duration. Now after that we see that the relative strength line has finally turned green here, and the stock also moved above the 200-day moving average. So generally, stocks that are underperforming the markets will have the RS line as the red color, and eventually, if they are continuously underperforming, they would eventually go below the 200-day moving average here. Now, if you look at this chart, you can clearly see that the RS line was, let's say you got an entry at this point where the RS was also green and the 200-day moving average, the stock was also above the 200-day moving average. Now, let's go to the strategy where we are going to understand what are the rules of the strategy. Now, basically, the conditions of relative strength are: relative strength has a has a reference zero line. If the line is greater than zero, then the stock is basically into buy zone, and it is an outperforming stock. Whenever the line is below the zero line, the stock is an underperforming stock. So the relative strength period that we are going to use is 123, because there are around 123 days in 66 months of trading, right? uh, okay, so what is the strategy here? Now, basically, we are looking for reversals on stocks that are coming near the 200-day moving average after the general market pullback or after the stock has corrected a lot. Now, buy only when the stock closes above the 200-day EMA, and also when the RS, or the 123 period RS has also turned green. Because if we use the condition, both the conditions, then we can avoid a lot of continuous trades in case of consolidation periods of a stock near the 200-day EMA, right? If the stock is closing above the 200 EMA, but the RS is in red color, it should never be bought. And this is the basic rule of the strategy. Now, these are the value stocks, and they generally reverse from the 200 EMA as it provides value buy to the investor. So what are the entry rules of a strategy? And let us take some of the examples where we make profits, where we make losses, and where we should have avoided some of the trades here, right? Now, enter on close whenever the stock is closing above the 200-day EMA with RS 123 as positive. Stop loss in this case should be max to max, let's say 5 to 7%. Probably you can increase the stop loss to max 10%, as holding stocks below 200 EMA is not advised. Keep pyramiding the stocks if stocks are heading higher, and use the 200-day EMA as the trailing stop loss. Now, trends generally last from 6 months to 1 year plus, depending upon the overall market conditions, as well as the stock individual stock performance here. Now, best suited after the market has been into uh, ma ma the market has been into general correction, sorry, right? So I will be sharing a screener where I am using the screener to find stocks where the EPS has been increasing quarter on quarter, and the stock recently just crossed the 200 EMA on the daily time frame here, right? So let us take some examples and understand the study here. And let me open the chart of RBL Bank, and let us take the example of that stock here, right? So if we look at the stock here, we see that recently the stock moved above the 200-day EMA, and the relative strength line also turned green here, right? So our entry should have been as soon as the stock closes above the 200 EMA on the daily time frame, we are going to go and buy. Currently, the position, if you see, the stock made a high of around 47%, and the current gains are sitting at around 34% here. Now, here also you see that the stock had closed above the 200-day EMA, but you see the relative strength line here in this case was in red color. So this is not a buying zone for us, because the RS is in red here. Again, if we look at this, stock closed multiple number of times above the 200 EMA, but we see that the RS is not into red color. The RS is not green here. So these are not the value buys, or these are not the buys that we are looking for. And we can clearly see that the stock eventually fell down and pulled back and fell further more around 30-40% here. Again, we see here that the stock turned above the 200-day EMA, but we see again that the RS is in negative basically. So these are not the value buys. That is why we are using the relative strength line as a magical filter to filter out stocks which should be bought, or when it should be bought and when it should not be bought. Now, this is the time where basically we'll have to enter a trade multiple number of times, and most of the times we are entering into trades and exiting trades at break even point. So let's see here that the stock closed above the 200-day EMA, and the RS line is also in green color, so we might have bought this stock. Again, we see the stock closed below the 200-day EMA, so we closed flat here. Again, we see here that the stock here turned closed above the 200-day EMA, and we see the stock turned the stock gave here 3.5% and stock closed below the 200 EMA, right? So basically, sometimes you may get a lot of entries and exits due to the choppiness of the market and the choppiness of the stock. But what are we looking for is we are this is like we are paying back small premiums to the market to capture a bigger trend of the stock here, right? So we see here, to capture a bigger trend of the stock, we are just paying 2 to 3% of stop losses, or probably 2 to 3% of targets we are taking here due to the continuous choppiness, and then finally we are exiting. So let's take some bigger example, or let's take some good examples here. So we clearly see that the stock turned green. The stock had closed above the 200-day EMA, and the relative strength turned positive. After that, the stock closed below the 200-day EMA, below the stock closed below 200 EMA finally, and gave us a return of around 16% over a period of time, basically, right? So now here, as you know, you can keep a higher position sizing as well, because we are following a systematic rule, and you can just keep on trading into few segment of stocks. For example, let's take an example where we trade only Bajaj Finance, Tata Motors, one of the IT stocks. Let's pick few stocks and only trade those stocks only whenever they are closing above the 200-day or below the 200-day moving average, right? So this was about the basics of the reversal trading strategy that we talked about. And there are a lot of stocks. Let's take South Indian Bank. Now, if we take an example of this stock, so here we see that finally the stock closed above the 200-day moving average, and here the RS was also turned positive. So here we made around 118% till now. The stock is still trading above the 200-day moving average, so we are not exiting the stock. As long as the trend is intact, we are going to keep on buying the stock and keep on pyramiding the stock into the direction of the trend here, right? So this was about the basics of our swing trading strategy here. Now, I would like to talk about one of our algo trading strategies that have given bumper returns in the past. And this is a 4 to 8 lakh basket. And this is a 10 to 17 lakh basket that has given around 330% returns in the past 4 years. And currently, we have started trading the strategy as well. Currently, the strategy is in the DD of around 1% only. As you can clearly see, the maximum drawdown of the strategy is only 2.5%, and the max loss is capped at around 101.5% here. So if you are interested to know more about the strategy, I would link I'm linking the strategy details in the I button, as well as you can WhatsApp me for contact using the link in the description below. My contact number is 7674007938, and you can DM me regarding algo trading strategies for option buying, option selling. We also have option buying strategies for a capital of around 1.5 lakh rupees with a DD of around 70,000, right? So if you like the video, do share it with your friends, and like and subscribe to the channel for more such interesting videos.